Hi, it's Jordan Teen 1, and in this video I'll be showing you how to make this cute little sailor hat. And I think it turns out really sweet, and it's a great thing to add to a Loomigurumi animal that you may have crocheted, or it's also a nice size for a Barbie doll or Ken doll. So I actually made this to go on my octopus, and I'll show you what he looks like. So I thought it was a really cute addition to go on top of his head, but really you can add it to any kind of animal that you make, or even a doll. And then, as I said, it's a good size for a Barbie or Ken doll. So you can see here with the Ken doll, it fits on there fairly nicely. It's a pretty good size. Now if you were putting it on a Barbie, you might have to somehow tack it on, just because she has so much hair it may not sit as well, but on the Ken, even with this doll that has the hair, you can see that it really does stay on pretty well. To make the sailor hat, you're going to need some type of hook. So I have the Rainbow Loom metal hook, but you can use a crochet hook or whatever you have available. And then to start to make my magic ring, I'm going to use a twist tie, but that's optional. And then for your band count, you're going to need 93 white bands and 18 blue bands. We're going to start by making our magic ring. So you need a total of 7 rubber bands for that, because we're doing 6 into the magic ring and you need that one for the middle. And as I said, I'm going to be using a twist tie just to help me start this magic ring, but it is optional. So if you have the twist tie, you just want to put it next to your hook, and then you want to take your first rubber band and you're going to triple this on your hook. So you're placing it on and you're going to twist and put it back on, twist and put it back on. So you'll have 3 loops. And then if you have that twist tie, just pull it up and bend it in half. And that's just going to help to keep those 3 loops together and give you something to grab onto. If not, just use your fingers to pinch those 3 bands. And then we're going to take our remaining 6 bands and pull them through that center. So you're getting the first one on your hook, pulling it through and back on, and then 1 band slides through the next. You're going back through from the center, and you want to make sure you're going through all 3 of those loops. Take your second band, it's coming through, back on, so you have 3 loops, and 1 pulls through the other 2. You're going back through again, the next one comes through, back on your hook, and 1 slides through the other. And then we're just going to continue till we have all 6. And then one more time. And then you want to take a clip or a stitch marker of some sort, whatever you have available. So I'm going to use an S-clip, and I'm just going to put it on the band that's on my hook. And now I can remove this twist tie. And then you just want to take a second and straighten this out. Just try and even the bands out so they're all the way around that circle. In row 2, we're going to be doing an increase, so I have 12 rubber bands, and I have 2 in each of my piles because we're going to do 2 single crochet into each of the stitches. And let me just show you what I mean by a stitch. We've made our magic ring, and if you look from the top side, you can see sort of this chain of bands here. It's like a sideways V, and there's 2 loops to each one. So you're going to take your hook and go through from the front to back and go through both of the loops there. And then I'm going to be putting 2 bands into every one of these stitches. So I'm taking my first one and I'm just going to pull through, get the other end back on. So I have the 3 loops here, and one goes through the other 2. Back through the same stitch, pull through my second, 3 loops on, and one goes through the others. Then you just want to move over to your next stitch and just keep repeating that pattern. So I'll pull through 1 and then back through the same for a second. And then I'm ready for my next set. I don't know if you guys can hear it on the camera or not, but there's a woodpecker that loves our tree out back, and for the last couple weeks, every time I'm filming a tutorial, I constantly hear him pecking on the tree. It kind of makes me laugh. And then you should have one pile left here, and the last stitch should be the one that has your clip on it or your stitch marker. And then once you've done that, you want to take your clip and just move it to the rubber band that your hook is on. In row 3, you're going to need 18 rubber bands, and we're still going to do an increase, but it's going to be every other stitch. So we'll do 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and then so on. So I'm just moving over to the next stitch, doing that 1 single crochet, and then in that next stitch I'm going to be doing the 2. So there's my first one, and then back through for a second. So I'll just keep repeating that the whole way around. I apologize for my voice. I don't know if it's because it's too early in the morning or because I may be catching a cold, but I feel like my voice is constantly getting gravelly and I have to stop the video and clear my throat. My daughter had a cold the other week, of course right in time for the PSSAs, which is the Pennsylvania School Assessment Tests. My kids despise having to take them, but I'm pretty sure that they do it in every state in the United States. I'm not quite sure what kind of standardized tests they have in other countries, but I know here in the United States my kids and their friends all hate having to take them. And then in this last one we have 2 left. So where your clip is, you're doing that 2 single crochet, and then again you want to move your clip. In row 4, you're going to need 18 bands, and we're doing just 1 single crochet in each of the stitches. So it should be pretty straightforward for this part here. So hopefully everyone is following along with the tutorial okay. Whether this is your first rubber band crochet project or Loomigurumi, or if you've already made many other things. I think as far as the difficulty level, this one is a little bit more on the easier side. and it doesn't take too long to make and doesn't use a terrible amount of bands. I know that when you get into some of the larger projects, it does really take up a whole lot of rubber bands, so I know that can get time consuming and expensive. So I like to kind of do a mix of the bigger projects and then some of these smaller ones as well. And I do have several small things that I am currently working on that will be coming up soon. And then I have one left that's going in my last stitch here. And then we're going to move that clip. In row 5, we're going to switch to our blue color, and I have 18 rubber bands, so we're just doing one single crochet in each. And then with this first one here, we're going to do something called a slip stitch, since we are changing colors. So I'm pulling it through the first stitch like regular, but then I'm also going to go through the one that's on my hook, and then I'm going to get it back on, and one band will pull through the other. So that's just helping the white to be closer against the white and not go into our blue row. And then you're just following around with one single crochet in each, just like regular. When I was first designing the hat, I had tried a lot of different combinations of the colors, and I had initially thought that I wanted to have the blue be the very top row, but then after I messed around with it a little while and made a bunch of different prototypes, I decided that I liked this one best. And I also tried different styles of the hat as far as the rounded part, the dome part of the hat. I initially had that a little bit skinnier at the top, but then I decided to widen it a little bit more because I just like the overall look of it that way better. So there definitely is a lot of thought and planning and trial and error that goes into my designs. And then here's my last one. And then I'll move my clip. In row 6, I'm switching back to white, and I have a total of 18 bands. And so what I'm going to do now is take the hat and flip it inside out, because I think it'll be easier to work with like this. And up until now we've been going through both loops of a stitch, front and back, but for this row we're going to go just through the stitch that's closest to you. So let me just show you where we're going to start because it's a little confusing. Since we made a slip stitch, if you look from the top, it sort of looks like we have a little bit of a half white stitch and a half blue stitch. You're not going through that blue, you're going to this next one over. So from the front, and again it's just the loop that's closest to you, you're going to push through. So you just have the one on your hook. Taking my white, and I'm going to pull through that. And then since we are changing color, I am going to also go through the one that's on my hook first, and then I'm going to get it back on, and then one is going to slide through the other. And now for the rest of the time here, we're only going through the stitch that's closest to you, or I should say the loop. You're going to pull through, back on, and one through the other two, just like you're used to doing. So this is going to help to form that brim of the sailor hat. And when you're going through this, you will feel that it feels a little bit looser as you're doing it, but that's what you want to happen, so don't be concerned. Definitely is a different feel as you're doing it. And then here's my last one. And then I'm going to move my clip. In row 7, you'll need 18 more white rubber bands. And we have our hat inside out, so I'm going to flip it the right side out now. And you can see here how it's looking. When we did this white row, it's more indented and the blue is sticking out. So for this next row, what we're going to do is we're going to sew on the other part of that blue loop. So let me just start here where we left off. You're going to have this clip hanging on the bottom, and that's okay, just leave that go for now. So I'm going to start on the outside here. And so I just want to go through this other blue loop that we didn't go through on the last row. So from the top, I'm going to get my hook underneath, and I'm going to be pulling it over to the right, back on my hook, and one through the other to make a slip knot. And then I'm just going to work my way around that blue stitch here. So again, it's just a regular single crochet, and you're always working from the right side here, and you're only just going through that one loop. There really should be only one loop to go through because the other one's already occupied. And it's going to sort of fold down when you're doing it, but don't worry about that because when we're finished here, we'll get it to sit just how we want it. And again, since you're just going through that one loop, it is going to feel looser than you're probably used to. And then I'm at my last one here. Now we have to finish this off here, so I have 2 additional white bands, and what I'm going to do is go through this first blue stitch again. Even though we already have a white through it, I need to close this off. So from the top, I'm just going to go down through that blue and do a regular single crochet. And now I want this loose loop to come down to the bottom and connect with this other loose loop. So I'm going to take it off my hook for the moment, and I'll hold that in my fingers, and then I'm just going to reach up through from the inside and grab this white loop and just pull it down through. You don't want it to be pulled tightly because you don't want the brim to be forced down, so I'm going to leave it on the loose side, and then I'm going to take this other loose loop. I can take my clip off. I'm just going to pull that one through the other. So you can pull this back up a little bit there. So now I just am left with my one on my hook here, and so I have to tie this off. So I'm going to let me flip it inside out so it's a little bit easier to see. And I don't want it to be seen on the outside, so I'm just going to go through some of the white bands here, go through that stitch there, and I'm going to take my last white band and I'll just pull through all the ones on my hook, and then one end pulls through the other, and I'm going to pull that really nice and tight to make a nice tight slip knot. And then I have to hide this loop here, so I'll just go through some of these ones on the inside, pull through some of these white ones. And then if you want, you can work it through some of the other ones too, if you want it completely hidden. So then I'll just flip it inside out again, or right side out I should say. And then it may look a little bit jumbled right here, but don't worry about that, because what we're going to do is make this brim part stick up. So starting here, you can see it already is sort of sticking up. What you're going to do is just spread this apart. So just use your thumbs here, and you can work your way all the way around and make the underside go in and the top side go up. Just pinch it open. And then you can work on the top part here, make it nice and rounded, just pushing up a little bit. And then here you have your sailor hat. I hope that everyone loves their new sailor hats. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook, post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page, and please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on my latest tutorials. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to subscribe to those as well. Thanks for watching!